Welcome back to the MWOD. Tonight we're going to talk about, we're going to finish kind of our talk about pillow talk, but how to use the pillow to not destroy your back while you're sleeping. We're also going to tie this kind of overextension piece into today's hero WOD, which is big heavy push press, some box jumps, some kettlebell swings. When we see athletes overhead, oftentimes we see them a little bit overextended. Just biasing the tissues or putting my arms overhead into an active position, the passive structures will naturally put me into a little bit of overextension. So what we can start doing is starting to see some of the CrossFit exercises and CrossFit WODs as ways to screen for movement dysfunction, or ways to screen for overextension or knee problem or shoulder problem. A lot of athletes and coaches are having a hard time making the jump between kind of seeing an exercise and seeing a movement problem. So let me give you an example of that. So when we're swinging over kettlebell overhead or push pressing overhead, I need to finish in a neutral position. That neutral spine is I've got my abs braced, biased and extended position, but I'm not overextending, not violating the two-hand rule. Look at Kristen Cleaver in any of the pictures in the games, and she's in a great position in neutral. Extrapolate that all the way to dancers who are obsessing over tucking under. Well, it turns out their pelvis is in the same position. Swimmers is the same thing. Gymnastics being in the same hollowed position. And that hollowed position is actually a neutral position, not an overextended position. When we see athletes swimming, we see athletes kind of working on the ground, this is a simple test that our coach Carl Powell uses. That I should be able to squeeze my thighs together, point my toes, adopt a neutral spine, abs are on, back is pressed into the ground, and I should be able to raise my arms over my head without losing my extension. I want to be able to press that position. And what you'll find is that if your arms are overhead or you're not active, chances are you're laying in overextension. And that's what ties us into using your pillow to save your back. So if you are that overextended person, put your arms over your head in the kettlebell swing and you notice your low back drops, well, the same thing's going to happen when you lay down. So a very simple way, if you wake up aching in the back and you're overextension sensitive, probably because the tissues are in the front are short, go ahead and throw a pillow underneath your knees. And just putting yourself a little flexion at the knee can do a lot for your low back during the course of the night. Keep you from turning over, no big deal. If you snore, it's going to probably make that worse. Ask my wife. But it'll also prevent you from locking out or having to put one knee into a funny position and then adopting some extra rotated position all night long. This will do a lot. If you sleep on your side, I also recommend a pillow between your knees. This often is a problem because people adopt some kind of three-quarter turn. And look what happens. If I'm missing internal rotation all night long as I internally rotate my leg, my thigh comes to the ground, I put a big stressor on my back. All of that passive structure, passive tensioning can really do a number on my back. So all it takes is block that knee, keep that hip in neutral. And if you've got big, massive quads like John Wellborn, you can't help it. You're going to internally rotate because the guy's so quad dominant. So take a look at this. Here's the WOD. So I'm going to work on overhead, and if I'm watching my athletes swinging overhead and they're a little bit having a hard time fully kind of engaging this kind of consummating this position and they break, that's an instant kind of cue for me that, hey, maybe we need to spend some time opening up the thoracic spine. So new little tweak tonight. We're going to tie in some thoracic extension and some contractile relax. So we're going to grab a foam roller. This could be a keg. This could be a towel roll. You need something heavy. This could be a door jamb. And what I'm going to do is I can start by rolling out the ribs. This is the same thing we triage for any time an athlete has an overhead problem. We call this the keg drill. I'm going to go ahead and extend my arms straight as I can. Try to bias that position first. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring my butt down as a tensioner. And then I'm going to contract and relax. And so I'm going to go ahead and extend and work on anything that's limiting those positions as it relates to kind of the arm position, and then I'm using the thoracic as the tensioner. So load, arm straight, tension, hold, release, and I can stretch that out. I can do my contract, relax there through any of those segments. Reset, get tight. That's the idealized position. Drop your butt as the tensioner, hang out there. Don't make a pain face, all right? So that's the number one thing we're going to work on. You can certainly do the two balls there. Of course, if you start to see people push pressing or missing some external rotation, one of the things we need to see is the shoulder needs to be able to get back and externally rotate. Many athletes are missing this component. So what ends up happening is that they end up with shoulder forward trying to maintain a push press external rotated position. You've got to be able to kind of keep shoulder neutral, and the hallmark of all the best Olympic lifters is they can externally rotate and keep their shoulder back. Most of us who are missing will come forward and end up in this position. So to do that, we're going to go ahead and throw up the band or strap on the pull-up bar or in the door jamb. And let's go ahead and wind up and really hang out. But we're going to really bias and exaggerate the thumb turning over. So that's the piece that's going to limit that. So I'm going to start here, really exaggerate that external rotation into that position, open up that lat. That's going to help this external rotation at the top. But in this position, I want to go ahead and give myself something to work on for that. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a ball, get underneath on the rib on some of that stuff, and I wanted to see if I can tie some of that external rotation force, and I can grab that same weight that I was doing, do some little external rotation contract, relax in here, working some of those external rotators into that position. We can get that kettlebell dropping through the arm to try to reposition some of that stuff like we've talked about. And then I can even just hang out into this position. You probably have no problem here, but as a nice tie-in with our foam roller, we can work on, hey, I should be able to get into these positions and drop elbows to the ground without losing my extension and be able to have my elbows on the ground, hands on the ground. And what's happening is I'm biasing that shoulder back into an active position, and then I'm able to get my shoulder on the ground. I can just tilt over a little bit, let the hand come up, but I'm just going to get passively opening. And if you can't get into all these positions, you have an external rotation problem. And that's definitely going to help being able to push press, okay? We'll see you guys tomorrow. Good luck on the Hero WOD.